Good evening, Blog
Talk Radio.
Good evening, Glosslip Radio listeners. I am Dawn Olson of Glosslip.com, and thank you very much for being here on a special show that we're normally on Sunday nights, but since there's so much to talk about, we've had to schedule some of these shows for different nights, and I appreciate you guys sort of just playing it by ear with the schedule. I want to say hello to everybody in the chat room, and please do feel free to participate in the chat room. I will be checking that out, and I think Mark, I don't know if he's logged in, or if he could see that, but we'll certainly be fielding any questions that we can. Again, tonight's interview guest is Marc Headley. This is our second interview with Marc, and we're very excited to have him. And I want to point out that the previous show, which was really only it's about 15 days ago, we've had about 12,000 people who've listened to that radio show. I don't know what the regular programs on Blog Talk Radio get, but I've been told by long-timers that is a tremendous number of people listening to the show and by Blog Talk Radio standards. So I am so glad to see this information being disseminated. So without further ado, welcome, Marc. Thank you again for coming and joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And you sound better. I assume you have recovered from your cold.
Oh, yeah. I literally, I'm back to normal and, back to battery, so I'm glad that that's the case for this show.
Yes. And so, you were sick for a while, and that brought up a concern of ours about the free ones. Now, I'm sure you're well aware of the recent news that has come out that the free ones, which is the Scientology cruise ship where they do a lot of their upper OC levels and have special events on the cruise ship. And the ship that we've seen, many celebrities themselves have attended events there. It was recently discovered that there was blue asbestos on the ship during some restoration work there while it was dry docked in Kurztown. This isn't actually breaking news simply because Lawrence Woodcraft several years ago wrote up a affidavit saying that he had seen the blue asbestos and had informed Scientology staff. And were you on the ship at all?
Yeah, I was on the ship for about 2 weeks in 1988, and then while I was working, that was before I actually was in the Sea Organization, and then after I joined the Sea Organization, I went there several times over a period of 15 years, because that's one of the, basically the venues that the international Scientology events are held, the June 6th event. It's called the Maiden Voyage Anniversary event. And so there was several times where I went back there for several weeks at a time, and we worked below decks, in those areas where we were making the sets and getting everything prepared for the event. So when I had this last little bout, I actually was basically had about 80% of the symptoms of the kind of disease that you get from the blue asbestos. So I had to go in and get checked out, and we're still waiting to hear, but it looks like everything's normal now. So hopefully we're past all that. But
that was a concern. You and I had talked about that. We were worried about you there. Yeah, mesothelioma is the disease that it's a cancer that it's a rare form, and it is caused directly by the blue asbestos, the fibers getting into your lungs and creating tumors in your lungs. And it's treatable, but it's not curable. And ultimately, it's a long or it's a short and painful death for those who have it. So I truly hope that the outcome is positive for you, because I know you were concerned, although you seem to think that everything's okay. What would you recommend to anyone who's been on the free ones and perhaps has been exposed to the blue asbestos, since you've kind of gone through this process?
Well, based on what I talked to Lawrence Woodcraft about it a bit as well, and based on what he told me, basically a large portion of the ship that was covered with the blue asbestos was on the sea deck, where they used to basically store the cars when it was a ferry before the Scientologists had bought the ship. And the sea deck is where all of the crew on the ship are berthed, and also where like the lower level cabins for public, when parishioners go there, that's where their berthing is. That's where the rooms are. They're on the sea deck. So really, if you were an ex-staff member that ended up working at the Free Winds, or if you're an ex-parishioner or anything, if you're a current parishioner and you are basically displaying any of the symptoms, you should absolutely get yourself checked out. And it's a piece of cake. It takes a day here, a day there, and they can pretty much find out right off within a few weeks if you've got any problems. But and then if you do unfortunately get diagnosed with it, then get a hold of an attorney. There's lines of them queued up waiting to represent you right now. So that's what I would recommend. I know that if the church can, they're going to definitely pay their way out of this and try and basically make it go away. But if enough people speak out and enough people harass the company in Curacao not to let the ship back in the water, then we can keep that thing up in the air in dry dock and then maybe eventually just sink it.
Yeah, we could torpedo it. I mean, do you think, are there people on the ship now, as far as I mean, there's people, there was rumors and news reports that they'd sent some special teams to do some cleaning. I don't know how familiar, you're out of the org, and certainly you may not be aware of what's going on. But
no, I actually got a report. I got a report last night. There absolutely are people working on the ship right now as we speak, and whatever area has been sealed off, it's not the whole ship, it's a portion of it. So there's people there, working like everything's normal. So, I guess time will tell what happens with this thing. But yeah, as of last night, there were people eating, sleeping, working on the ship, getting it ready for finish up on the renovations. So, we just got to follow through and make sure this thing gets basically widespread attention so that they shut it down.
Okay. Well, it seems to be an ongoing story. So certainly, if you hear anything, you'll let us know. But there's a lot of things we want to get to, and we have a short amount of time, so I don't want to dwell on that too much. We have covered it on Glosslip, and lots of actually some other mainstream sites have covered it too, Radar, and I'm not sure if it was Defamer, but there have been some other sites, so do Google search if you want to get more information on that. In the meantime, we have a big protest coming up tomorrow. It's the fourth of Anonymous's monthly protest against Church Scientology. I know you're a supporter of Anonymous, although, obviously you're not anonymous in the sense of, we know who you are. But tomorrow's protest is going to be highlighting the process of fair game. It's a policy, of Scientology's. Can you explain to us what you know about fair gaming as far as, how they project it into the public?
Absolutely. Basically, the whole subject of fair game came up way back when L. Ron Hubbard was, writing up all the different issues and basically procedures and all the policies for Scientologists. And basically people who were in Scientology and then turned against Scientology, or even people that just were antagonistic towards Scientology, were deemed suppressive persons. And that's probably like on the founding policies of the church are anyone who's against Scientology or who publicly speaks out against Scientology is a suppressive person. And that's where you get the whole disconnection thing and the fair game. Those are all attributes of this suppressive person thing. And a lot of people have even asked me, like, have I ever been fair gamed? Sure, absolutely. I had there's an SP, a suppressive person that's a friend of mine, and he hasn't seen or talked to his mother in years because he's been declared a suppressive person, and his mom is still a Scientologist. And he was called in by OSA, which is the Office of Special Affairs, which is like the church's investigative branch. And they basically called